Hello and welcome to this edition of the Carl Jackson Show podcast. Obviously, it was a big day yesterday with the Fulton County DA Fani Willis and her and special prosecutor / lover Nathan Wade took the stand. I want to show you some video right off the top. This is Fani Willis. I believe she was either running for or had just recently become the Fulton County DA at the time, but she was talking about everything that she was replacing of corruption. She's not going to be having sex with her employees, so on, etc. So it seems as if she was bashing whoever she had taken over for, but nonetheless, she fell prey to the corruption. You guys may remember that weeks ago I reported that Fani Willis, literally, there was a whistleblower that had blown the whistle on someone in her within her campaign that was mishandling funds and using government grant money, federal government grant money, for things that he should not have been using that grant money for. And less than 2 months later, you heard the audio back then, Fani Willis kind of took her side, which she acted as if she was sympathetic to the woman. And then 2 months later, the lady was out the door. Fani Willis, there was a major setback for this case against this election interference case in Georgia, with Fani Willis taking the stand and her lover Nathan Wade taking the stand yesterday. And what a horrible day. Now, let me say this, because I know conservatives are out there and everyone is saying, man, this is it. This case is over. I think Fani Willis is over. I don't know if her career is over, but I think Fani Willis, at least being in charge of this trial, is over. Now, if you were to ask me, and this is strictly my opinion, we're going to watch some video of her reactions inside of the courtroom. It's absolutely insane. Guys, I've been in a courtroom plenty of times. BC, that is before Christ. And I can tell you, I've never seen anyone behave like she did. I know that she's a DA. I know that she's a special prosecutor, but I'm going to tell you, let me set the premise. Let me lay the foundation. What Fani Willis was doing yesterday was putting on a show. Why was she putting on a show? She was putting on a show because she wanted a sympathetic audience. She wanted a sympathetic left-wing or black audience, because she knows anyone else will possibly be going to jail. She obviously was having an affair while she hired, or before she hired, Nathan Wade to be a special prosecutor. They dealt in cash repayments. That's absolutely insane. That tells you that there was something shady going on, and we all know it. So we're going to talk about this case a little bit. And it's just in general, guys. You saw earlier this week, we interviewed J6er John Nasif. John Nasif, a J6 political prisoner, in my opinion, spent 7 months in jail. He went into the Capitol literally for about 8.5 minutes. 7 minutes in which he was trying to get out of the Capitol. He was pushed into the Capitol by U.S. Capitol Police. He didn't even know that until later in discovery, and still ended up spending 7 months behind bars in a federal prison for going into the Capitol. It absolutely insane. Has to restart his life. I mean, friends abandoned him. Family members abandoned him. As a matter of fact, his sister called the FBI on him. Just absolutely insane. But what we're witnessing is the total corruption of our intelligence communities, of the deep state, and that deep state is now extended to even local county DAs, like you see with Fani Willis. We have one of our own, Monique Worrell. Actually, she was just let go recently by Governor Ron DeSantis. Thank God for Governor Ron DeSantis. He doesn't play when it comes to these woke prosecutors. He let one go in Tampa. He let another one go right here in Orlando, Monique Worrell being the one in Orlando. But George Soros has installed these woke prosecutors all across the country. Chicago, even Chicago mayor, all of these people have Soros-backed money behind them. They're using blacks, left-wing blacks, as useful idiots for the elites. And that's exactly what's happening with Fani Willis. Without any further ado, we'll play this video, and then I just want to go over with you again. I talked about it briefly yesterday, but just add some more details to the CIA starting the entire Russia collusion hoax. Absolutely insane. All right, so let's go ahead and roll the video, por favor, Gabe.
because they deserve a DA that won't have sex with his employees, because they deserve a DA that won't put money in their own pocket when it should go to benefit children, because we deserve better.
So that's Fani Willis making the case that Fulton County deserves a DA that isn't corrupt. Meanwhile, Fulton County got a DA that is corrupt in Fani Willis. Gabe, let's just keep rolling the videos. I'll just react to the videos before we get to the CIA story. I do want to share this news with you. This is interesting, and this doesn't have to do with the United States, yet it does. Let me pull it up. Did you guys hear about this? The latest news from the Russia's opposition leader, Alexi Navali. He died in a remote Arctic prison. This, according to the Daily Wire. Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny has died in a remote Arctic prison. This, according to Russian authorities. He was only 47 years of age. Navalny, a frequent critic of Vladimir Putin, was in prison after being convicted of charges of extremism, quote unquote. That's a very, very broad term, isn't it? Sentenced to 19 years in prison. We all knew this was a death sentence, and it turned out to we were all correct, right? Russia's Federal Penitentiary Service said that Navalny, and I hope I may be butchering his name, forgive me, felt sick after going on a walk and soon after lost consciousness and died. The facilities, this according to the Russia's prison service, the facility's medical workers immediately arrived at the scene and an emergency medical team was called in. All necessary resuscitation measures have been carried out, but they did not yield positive results. Emergency medics confirmed the death of the convict. A spokesperson for Navalny said his death was still being confirmed by his lawyer. All right, the federal again, this is from Kira Yarmish on X. The Federal Penitentiary Service of Russia and the Yamalo-Nenets Autonomous Okrug, OKRUG, is spreading the news of Alexei Navalny's death in IK3. We have no confirmation of this yet. They write Alexei's lawyer is currently on his way to KARP. As soon as we have some information, we'll report on it. Navalny had been sentenced to prison in January 2021 after returning to Moscow from Germany. I recall that, where he was undergoing treatment, remember this, for poisoning from a nerve agent that he blamed on the Kremlin. And that is one of the ways that, one of the tactics that the Kremlin uses to get at their enemies. The Kremlin, or Putin, the Kremlin has denied any responsibility for his poisoning, but U.S. intelligence officials have said they believe Russia was responsible, and so does everyone with common sense. All right, so I just wanted to report that real quick. Let's go back to Fani Willis, and I want you to understand, I think a lot of people have gotten this wrong. They're talking about how belligerent Fani Willis was on the stand, and she was, just how mean and nasty she was on the stand, and she was, and how much the judge let her get away with, and he did. I think anybody else would have been held in contempt of court, perhaps arrested, thrown out of the courtroom right there and hauled off, in my opinion. But Fani Willis is putting on an act, in my opinion. This is a woman that needs sympathy from the black community, and she needs sympathy from white leftists, because she needs the narrative to be that Trump's people are now coming after her, a black woman. That's what she's trying. That's the act. This is an act. I want you guys to understand this is an act. Gabe, let's go ahead and roll the video.
He initially paid for that, for Aruba. Yes, ma'am. So let's talk about both of those. I know he initially paid for it. Did you pay him back? For the cruise and for Aruba. Yeah, I gave him his money before we ever went on that trip. You gave him cash before you ever went on the trip? Mm-hmm. Okay. And so when you got cash to pay him back on these trips, would you go to the ATM?
No, lady.
You would not go to the ATM?
No.
Okay. So Fulton County pays you direct deposit, I assume?
Yes, Fulton County and the state of Georgia both pay me direct deposits.
Okay. So the cash that you would pay him, you wouldn't get it out of the bank?
I have money in my house.
You have money in your house. So it was just money that was there?
When you meet my father, he's going to tell you, as a woman, you should always have, which I don't have, so let's don't tell him that. You should have at least 6 months in cash at your house at all times. Now, I don't know why this old black man feels like that, but he does. When we were growing up, my daddy had 3 safes in the house. So my father's bought me a lockbox, and I always keep cash in the house. Now, I don't do it to the degree that my father would do it, so he would probably be ashamed with me. But I always have cash at the house. That has been, I don't know, all my life.
All her life. Her dad asked her to have 6 months of cash. Now, listen, that is part of the Dave Ramsey plan. All right, so that's not necessarily, I hear a lot of people saying, who does that, blah, blah, blah. Listen, if you're a wise steward with money, that is one of the things that you work towards, 6 months of emergency saving or something, something of that effect. I believe that is part of Dave Ramsey's plan. And many people are fully aware of that. So I don't necessarily think that is a bad thing. I don't believe her. I think she was laundering cash. I think she was circulating cash. This is just horrible for the prosecuting team. Here's what this is. It's bad when MSNBC is turning against you. Here's what the analyst apparently this is a legal analyst on MSNBC. I want you to hear what she has to say. Let's go ahead and roll the gate.
The legalese fool you. This is epic. This is monumental. If things are going in the direction we think, Fani Willis lied to the court, it's game over for her. She will be disqualified. If they had a relationship prior to when they represented to the court, it's a huge deal. I can't overstate it.
And do you feel the same way, Charles, based on the testimony of what we just heard? And we just learned Nathan Wade, who is the special prosecutor in this case, walked in the courtroom. He is being sworn in to testify now about this issue and his relationship with Fani Willis. Let's listen.
Okay, so they didn't play that there. I actually wanted to hear that. Gabe, I'm actually sending you a video right now. If there is audio that I'd like to play of this guy, Nathan Wade, perhaps one more. And I'm sorry, guys, this is like behind the scenes stuff, but I couldn't find these videos, and all of a sudden I just found them. But it was real important that I played some of what Nathan Wade had to say, because I want you to notice the difference in his demeanor compared to Fani Willis. Those were the videos of Fani Willis. There are obviously many more out there. I encourage you to go check them out. Guys, I don't like the soap opera, all right? I don't like talking about this stuff a lot. I'll be frank with you. I know a lot of other people do. This kind of stuff gets clicks, but I do feel like it's important because it goes towards a theme or a narrative. I want retribution. Trump said if he gets in office, he's gonna be our retribution. And I know a lot of people are like, whoa, they're backing away from that. I'm sorry, I love that, because retribution is nothing more than justice. These people did some illegal things. They unlawfully went after a sitting president of the United States and then a former president of the United States, and they're continuing it. All of this stuff, it's the same thing. It's all connected. The Russia collusion hoax, the Ukraine impeachment, COVID lockdowns. Now, granted, Trump shot himself in the foot. He bought into fascist Fauci. He got duped by, Fauci and Deborah Birx. He should have never shut down the economy. And honestly, I think he needs to be held accountable for that. I don't think people should be scared to tell him you screwed up. When you shut down the economy, you allowed the left to literally, fascist Fauci to essentially start running the country. And then when he signed the CARES Act, that put the left in motion to be able to do what they wanted to do. And, create all these anomalies that we saw in the 2020 elections, thanks to an influx of, excessive ballots, whether that's, mail-in ballots or ballot harvesting and all these kind of things, where that went national. It was just not a good, not a good thing. But having said that, the deep state is at work. So let's play these videos real quick, and then I will close it out with, I just want to clarify or give you some new information on the CIA literally starting the Russia collusion hoax. Guys, if you don't think the deep state needs to be dismantled, all of these people, hey, we need to reform the CIA. No, you need to dismantle some of these agencies, FBI, CIA. We need to figure out a way to consolidate them within the good guys that exist within these agencies into other agencies and get rid of some of these agencies. But I want you to notice this is Nathan Wade's demeanor. Now, again, this is a special prosecutor that was hired by Fulton County DA Fani Willis to prosecute the Georgia election interference case against former President Donald Trump. How the heck a local official can go after a former president on the federal level? I have no freaking idea how. I don't think I've ever got a clear explanation as to how that's even legal or possible. But nonetheless, here's Nathan Wade. Notice his demeanor compared to Fani Willis. Fani Willis is a little hot mama trying to be like, oh man, you ain't gonna give me, blah 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 blah. It's all an act. I'm telling you, she is scared crapless. And there's rumors going around. A lot of people, I just gotta add this in, Gabe, just because I can. People were asking, was she wearing a diaper? Apparently, at least according to some, the dress that she had, she was wearing backwards or something. So, so if that's true, I don't know if that's true. All right, I don't know if maybe that was just a meme, but if that is true, I'm telling you, Fani Willis was acting strategically. She was scared. Do not deny. Do not doubt that, is what I should say. Whenever you're in a courtroom, it is scary. It is humbling. And if you're a prosecutor or an attorney and you've been on one side, or a police officer, you've been on one side of the law and you find yourself on the other side of the law, you're going to get scared. Because now you know that everything you've been throwing down is about to come back to you. That's what you were saying from Fani Willis. Let's see Nathan Wade's reaction.
Did you go to a cabin with Miss Willis ever?
Ever?
Ever.
I've been really trying, baby, trying to hold back this feeling for so long. And if you feel like I feel, baby.
No.
You've never gone to a cabin with Miss Willis?
No.
Woo! That's what he was thinking. That's what he was thinking. Somebody got that spot on. That's exactly what he was thinking. But why did he take that long to answer? He doesn't want to get caught up. This is a man that understands. Remember, if you're a social justice warrior, you think people are out to get you. You think whites are out to get you. You think Trump and Trumpsters are a bunch of Nazis and stuff like that. He's sitting there and his mentality is, oh, my Lord, because he's bought into this nonsense. I'm a black man. They're going to try to take me down. I want to make sure that I say everything perfectly right. So he's doing something different. He's just being, his concern is completely, just subdued and like, I'm going to answer these questions correctly, where she's putting on a show to gain sympathy. That was the funniest part, but there were other parts where he was questioned about the money. Apparently, one of them said that the money was being used for business. The other admitted that the cash repayments were for travel expenses. I forget which were which. Nonetheless, they can find themselves in a lot of trouble. All right, so now just this real quick. Let me get to this real quick and we'll close out. Again, you're listening to the Carl Jackson Show podcast. This is your daily dose of objective truth in the world of confusion and lies. Guys, if you would please join me on all things social media at the Carl Jackson Show. Subscribe to my podcast wherever you go to get your podcast. That includes Apple, Google, Spotify, YouTube, and Rumble. All right, so I would certainly appreciate that. And all right. So, and support our sponsor, MyPillow.com. Mike Lindell at MyPillow.com. Okay. Again, put in the promo code Carl, Radio Podcast Square at the top of the page, CARL, or give them a call, 800-858-0263. All right. So remember, earlier this week, we brought in John Nasif, the political J6 political prisoner is what I'm calling him. 7 months behind bars. He didn't riot. He didn't storm the Capitol. He was let into the Capitol. He said the mistake that he made looking back is when he got into the Capitol, he saw areas where people had done stuff earlier and all this kind of stuff. But when he went in, it didn't look, after he was pushed in by police officers, Capitol police officers. But once he got into the building, he looked around and he was like, hey, there's nothing going in. So the people that were around him in the crowd, he was like, hey, guys, you can come in. And he was like, oh, when he saw that later, after he realized what the federal government was trying to do, he thought he was in trouble just because he knew they were trying to set him up. But 7 months behind bars, having to restart your life. All right. So that's that. And then you have these cases. Now, we have to be careful, and Breitbart reported on it earlier today, because, guys, this is a setback. I want you to understand what's happening with Fani Willis is a setback. I'm not sure that she'll lose her career. She should. I'm not sure if she'll go to jail. She should. All right. I really believe that she should. I believe that she should use her law. She should lose her law license. All right. As well for this. She should not be able to practice law. The same is true with Nathan Wade. That's what should happen. I don't know if that's what's going to happen. So I want you to brace yourself for that. And also these federal cases. Listen. Eventually, the left, whether you like it or not, they are going to try to convict Trump, and they're going to try to make it as close to the election as possible. Alex Marlow on Breitbart had a good article up on that, where we still have to take pause on that, because that's ultimately what they're going to try to do. This may be a setback for them, but commies are still commies, and don't think for a second they're going to try to slack on losing that White House. They're going to try to keep that White House in the crypt keeper's hands, Joe Biden, or they'll bring somebody else in to do it, but they cannot let go of the power in the White House, because so many of them will be in trouble. Let me go through this real quick. Report this from the Federalist. CIA started Russia collusion hoax by asking foreign governments to spy on the Trump campaign. So the CIA started the Russia collusion hoax in 2016 when U.S. intelligence officials recruited foreign governments to spy on Democrats' political opposition in America. So earlier this week, Substack publications called Public and Racket revealed new details about the origins of the Spygate hoax the U.S. federal government perpetrated on the Trump presidential campaign. So multiple sources or multiple credible sources, and I'm quoting here, multiple credible sources tell Public and Racket that the U.S. intelligence community, including the CIA, illegally mobilized foreign intelligence agencies to target Trump advisors long before the summer of 2016. There are reports that it happened as way back as 2015. All right. The U.S. intelligence community asked the Five Eyes Intelligence Alliance to surveil Trump's associates and share the intelligence they acquired with U.S. agencies, say sources close to the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence and Investigations. All right, so the Five Eyes Alliance refers to the global intelligence apparatus, and that includes the United States, again, according to the Federalist, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and the UK. So all of these Five Eyes were on Donald Trump, if you will. Also, this was in Public and Racket in Substack. After Public and Racket had been told that President Barack Obama, CIA Director John Brennan, had identified 26 Trump associates for the Five Eyes to target, a source confirmed that the intelligence community had identified them as people to bump. That means or make contact with or manipulate. Guys, let me just pause here for a sec, because I want you to understand something. Obama knew. Obama knew. He was just as much a part of this as Hillary Clinton. He knew. They were targets, going on to quote Public and Racket. They were targets of our own IC and law enforcement, targets for collection and misinformation. Unknown details about the FBI's investigation of the Trump campaign and raw intelligence related to the IC surveillance of the Trump campaign are in a 10-inch binder that Trump ordered to be declassified at the very end of his term, sources told Public and Racket. All right, so U.S. officials broke laws against spying and election interference in order to spy on the Trump campaign and to interfere in the election. And then after that came the Ukraine hoax. In 2019, Trump was impeached for allegedly requesting of Ukraine to investigate Joe Biden at the time. Now, House Democrats claim that Trump withheld nearly $400 million in U.S. handouts to Ukraine in exchange for Kiev establishing facts about Hunter Biden coordinating corruption with his father, Joe Biden. Trump was acquitted by the Senate in February 2020. If you go back and you remember, Trump kept calling that the perfect phone call. And if you go back, the phone call was basically this. He knew that Ukraine was corrupt as all get out. And what he was telling Zelensky is, listen, you got some corrupt actors around you. I'm not sure that I want to send you foreign aid, knowing how corrupt Ukraine is. Oh, and by the way, I believe there's a politician that's running against me that participated in some of that corruption. That's what Trump was saying. That's all he was saying. Now, the Russia hoax fell flat, all right? So the first impeachment crusade against Donald Trump followed the collapse of the Russia collusion hoax when special counsel Robert Mueller's probe found not one person on the Trump campaign, let alone Trump himself, had colluded with the Russian government in an effort to win in 2016. Now, then you go to John Durham's report. So John Durham, you guys might remember that name. Special counsel John Durham last year concluded the FBI had no legitimate reason to open the investigation. That news was swept under the rug. All right. Instead, it was used as a pretext for U.S. intelligence agencies and congressional Democrats to hamstring their political opposition with sham investigations and impeachment. We saw that. So Joe Biden is actually the corrupt one, right? So Joe Biden continued to engage in global influence peddling schemes while serving in the U.S. Senate, while serving in the White House. Remember, special counsel Robert Hur just came out, and this is the whole big thing with Joe Biden right now, and said, listen, the guy is corrupt. That's basically what special counsel Robert Hur said. Joe Biden is corrupt as all get out, but he's too cognitively impaired to prosecute. No, he isn't. If he committed the crime, he can do the time. If a jury wants to let him off because they're sympathetic, that's on the jury. But Biden should be prosecuted anyway. So everybody's paying attention to the mental aspect of that, and I understand why. But also, they should be paying attention to equally, if not more so, the fact that Joe Biden is in fact corrupt, and that's what Robert Hur found. The evidence is overwhelming, but because he's a senile old man, he didn't want to prosecute. That's what Robert Hur said. That's the juxt of that report. All right. So Biden also met with his son's foreign business partners countless times. Investigators on the House Oversight Committee discovered that there were 20 shell companies, basically just names of companies, fake companies set up, that held upwards of $20 million from foreign oligarchs. You know, Tony Bobolinsky came back out last week. He was a business partner of Hunter Biden to say that he said President Biden, quote, sold out to foreign actors who were seeking to gain influence and access to Joe Biden and the U.S. government. He also said Joe Biden was more than a participant in and beneficiary of his family's business. He said, Bobolinsky said he was an enabler, despite being buffered by a complex scheme to maintain plausible deniability, close quote. All right. So, and then there's the CIA's involvement in the 2020 election as well. The House Select Committee on the Weaponization of the Federal Government, that's head up by Representative Jim Jordan of Ohio, is also investigating the CIA's interference in the 2020 election. Remember, a report from that same committee last May revealed the CIA's central role in soliciting or asking for signatures for infamous, former intelligence heads who sought to discredit Hunter Biden's laptop. So they all lied. Man, this is just insane. So this is what we're up against. Guys, we need retribution. And the only way that we're going to get retribution is to win elections. One of the things that I'm asking you to do, and I'm challenging you to do, and I had to do it myself, is just Google what local elections are happening right now in your area. Make sure you get out and vote. You're going to need, guys, we need at least a red trickle. All right. I'm not convinced that we'll get a red wave, but we need at least a red trickle. All right. This year, we need to regain the White House, hopefully retain the House, and Lord willing, gain the Senate, and then put some new leadership up in that Senate. All right, guys, I appreciate you tuning in to this edition of the Carl Jackson Show podcast. Again, your daily dose of objective truth in a world of confusion and lies. Please follow me, all things social media at the Carl Jackson Show. Subscribe to the podcast wherever you go to get your podcast. If you're on YouTube and Rumble, please review us. Please give us a 5. That's going to help us to move up the charts. We would certainly appreciate that, guys. And until next time, and don't forget, MyPillow.com. Fabulous blowout sale right now. MyPillow.com. Promo code Carl. I spell it with a C, not like the communist Karl Marx. So CARL. All right. Radio Podcast Square at the top of the page, or give them a call, 800-858-0263. You get a 10-year warranty, 60-day money back guarantee on all MyPillow products. All right, guys. And until next time, do not grow weary doing good. God bless you.